Greetings once again from quarantine, everybody. Today, we are happy to welcome on the Las Vegas native himself. It's my boy, Darian, Gilliam. I know you weren't able to go out to the race this weekend in Vegas, and it sounds so weird to just be able to have a racetrack seemingly in your backyard and watch it from your couch. But we did have a race, and we did have a hometown boy get the victory. What'd you think about Kurt finally getting that monkey off his back in Vegas?
Yeah, well, first off, thanks for having me on this little show you got going here.
Got it,
Really appreciate it, Davey. Just being out here, just growing up in Vegas, I've been going to the races since first grade, so since 2004. So really since '03, I haven't been to a race weekend at all, whether it's qualifying or just seeing one of the three major races during a weekend. But it was just weird seeing it, just sitting home from the couch, not being able to go, not really being able. You can't even really get into certain parts of the facility. When I was down there earlier in the week, they had it locked up pretty good. So yeah, so that's kind of crazy too. That was crazy to adapt to, and then going, texting back and forth with my mom during the race. She was like, "Damn, like one of the only good Vegas races, and nobody got to see it in person." I'm like, "Yeah, go figure. Yeah, that's our luck." But Kurt Busch winning it, that's such a big deal. Kyle Busch won it in 2009. And, after he won it, all the talk locally when NASCAR ever came out was, okay, when is Kurt going to finally get his first hometown win out here? And, the backstory with Kurt is, really growing up on the, racing at the Bull Ring and then getting an opportunity with Jack Roush to race in trucks. That was really his first big break. So it's really come full circle now. It's like really, when you really look at it, Kurt Busch has really had a very complete career now up to this point. I don't know, champion, multiple race winners, has gone to multiple teams, has helped build teams up too in the past, and has helped, bring some other teams along that, we figure like, hey, aren't going to be long, to be in the sport much longer,
Yeah.
when you look at some of the other smaller teams, but these were the opportunities he was presented. So really, Kurt Busch winning this, I think his career is officially complete now. And if he decided to retire, then it's, he's accomplished everything in my mind.
No, that's a really good point too. And I think one thing you left out was the Daytona 500 winner, and he talked about that last night, which is essentially, he's got like the trifecta for him. He's got the championship, he's got the Daytona 500, and now after 22 tries, he's finally got a victory at his hometown track. And he was pretty flippant about it as well. Like, I know I don't have that much time left, and I know I don't have that many more races left at my home track. So every one that goes by could be the last good opportunity that I have to get the win. And he was really kind of emotional last night on the post-race Zoom talking about that, because there's just been so many different instances where he just hasn't had the speed to compete for a win. But everybody that he's known his entire life with racing has been there. His parents, his sponsors, his friends, everybody. And I go back to, I think it was last year, maybe a couple years back, but it's when he had the Star Nursery colors on his cup car. And I was at the tweet up that morning, and I actually found out that Kurt Busch footed the bill to Chip Ganassi Racing to put Star Nursery on the car that weekend, because they were his first sponsor in racing when they started at the Bull Ring, and they meant a lot to him throughout his entire racing career. And I think that's the thing that we've seen out of Kurt Busch lately is, like, you don't see these profanity-laced tirades and these hothead moments from him anymore. That was like the Kurt from 10, 15 years ago almost. You see now, and I tweeted it last night, a really thought-provoking, honest leader at a team right now who knows that his prime years are behind him, and he knows that he's probably going to hang up the full-time racing helmet soon. But to see this transformation that he's gone through, and then to culminate in a win like this, and to have his brother, giving him a little door donuts on the cool down lap too, I think cool. It was just pretty cool to see, especially for a guy from like Las Vegas, seeing a hometown boy get the win. That must have been really cool to see.
Oh yeah, and especially because it just took so long for it to happen too. And when you really look at Kurt Busch's career, in the very beginning, 2002 to around 2005, basically with Jack Roush, winning so many races left and right. And then obviously, he had such an amazing start, such a rise from, struggling from another struggling cup driver his rookie year to basically being a champion 3 years later in 2004, right. And then having a bit of a downward spiral, personally, and as well as just, professionally on the track. It's really cool to see his career, officially come full circle now. And that's now 32 career Cup wins too. I mean, that's a lot too. That's a lot. I mean, a lot of guys they would love to just have one, but 32 wins and a championship, definitely Hall of Fame worthy for sure.
No doubt about that. I'm glad you said that, because the Hall of Fame gets a little murky waters every now and then, and I think it's the Hall of Fame for a reason. It's not the Hall of Very Good, but Kurt Busch is not very good. He is Hall of Fame caliber.
Yeah, he's
I'm
great.
Glad you said that.
Definitely a great driver.
And also something that, comes into the mix with Kurt winning this race is the playoff bubble, because he now has an automatic advancement to the round of 8. Just saying, I picked him to go to the round of 8. No big deal. But the guys on the cut line right now, we got Kyle Busch below. Aric Almirola had a dismal day last night. He's below the cut line as well. Clint, Bowyer, and Austin Dillon, who was running pretty well, but then a belt failure late with power steering specifically. He was running like top 10 all night, and he wound up finishing 7 laps down. So I think for those guys specifically, and even like Chase Elliott, Brad Keselowski, I mean, they're not out of the danger zone yet. One of the last things they wanted to see was a guy who seemingly was going to be on the outs after this round winning. They wanted to see a Harvick or a Hamlin victory easily, and that didn't happen. So they might not be sleeping too well this week.
Oh, and preferably in this round too. It's going to be really crazy. I mean, I think every single playoff driver preferred to win this race, because then they would be safe for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Talladega and the Roval, which I was really excited about. I'm like, okay, Vegas being the most boring race in the second round. Okay, I mean, that's understandable when you look at Talladega and the Roval. But then even this race, I mean, it wasn't completely like dead. Some some Vegas races usually are. But Talladega next week, looking at the cut line here, looking at Kyle Busch, Clint Bowyer, Aric Almirola, Austin Dillon. I don't know, Kyle Busch, every time I think of Talladega in the playoffs for Kyle Busch, 2014 comes to mind too.
Not good memories.
Looked like he was going to be good, but then he got involved in a bit of an accident towards the end of the race and basically screamed on the radio like, hey, we're done here, guys. So, and then the next year he goes on to win the championship. So looking at this, he's 9 points below the cut line. I'd have to assume that, I don't know, Adam Stevens, they probably will be in a bit of a conservative mode, just because, I mean, they're not too far back yet, so they don't have to do too much yet. But as for Clint Bowyer, Aric Almirola, and Austin Dillon, looking right here, 20 points below, 27 and 32. Yeah, I think there's going to be some desperation time. It's definitely going to start kicking in for Talladega, because I feel like some of those guys have Talladega like, okay, this is pretty much our only shot to win possibly. Because the Roval, I mean, you never know. I mean, Chase Elliott, I mean, he's just been so dominant on the road course.
And Truex.
Yeah, and Truex. You have to assume that, one of those two guys would end up winning. But I mean, this is 2020, so Kevin Harvick and Denny Hamlin will probably just go on and dominate that race. But Talladega, though, is definitely wide open.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, just real quick to talk about those, I mean, Aric Almirola, Talladega statistically is best track, and Austin Dillon is no stranger to having success on not restricted plate, but tapered spacer races, whatever.
Yeah.
So it's not out of the question for those. It's not out of the question for those two drivers to win, but it's going to be a tall task. And as it sits now, especially seeing how the guys in front of them are doing week in and week out, they are probably in a must-win scenario in the next 2 weeks. So we'll have to see what happens with them. And I also want to touch real quick, Darian, on Matty D. P2, once again, probably one of his best career seasons statistically, if you look at it. And he still does not know what he's doing at the time of this recording for 2021, but he will know by the end of the week, because October 1st is when the Wood brothers will decide to either pick up his option for next year or decline it. So just real quick on Matty D, really good performances so far. I think he probably deserves another year in that 21 car. What say you?
Well, I think, personally, I think he's been very up and down this year. Now, obviously, people look at, the Wood brothers situation, and they're like, well, it's another Penske entry. This should make the playoffs, right? And he did. To his credit, he did make the playoffs, although barely, he still made it. And, even though it was a first round exit, just the fact that he was there after all the stuff that went on last year towards the end of the season, I'd say that was a pretty good season. And then, there is a slew of people who did expect more from him too. I wasn't one of those people. I just figured this was probably the type of season he would have. First round exit, just happy to be here, that sort of thing. That first year, I just wanted to see if he would get his feet wet, being with a bigger team, that sort of thing, considering his past situations. But Now we're in a situation where he doesn't even know if he's going to be able to come back. And we're so late into the season where it's like, plans for next year, they're basically already set in motion. Like, okay, we're already going to start planning out for 2021. And now Matty D's he might be out of the job come a month from now, by season's end, he might be, still looking for a ride. And it's really unfortunate because, like, Paul Menard wanted him in that seat after his retirement last year. Like, hey, like, Matty D, he'll make the playoffs for you guys. He'll do really, really good. So I have to wonder, like, now, but what a difference a year makes, though. We're in a totally different situation, just in the world in general and also in the world of NASCAR as well. So a lot can change in a year or a couple of years. And now Matty D, I think he's done enough to personally, I think he's done enough to warrant another season in the 21 ride.
Yeah.
And if he has the same season next year, then possibly I feel like then you can go and look at, and evaluate his performance and be like, okay, well, he's, making the playoffs, but he's not really evaluating us to where, maybe we can get a second round appearance or, best debate appearance, that sort of thing. Personally, I think he can do it, but we'll have to see what the Wood brothers decide.
Yeah, we'll know at the end of this week. And again, who knows? Maybe by the time this comes out, we'll know what he's doing. But we shall see on that. Really, really quickly, Darian, give me a pick for Talladega. It's one of the most unpredictable races of the season. I have no idea what the hell is going to happen, and I know you don't either. But throw a dart out there. Who you got?
I think it's better. I think you're better off just having, the random number generator picking a vector, that sort of thing. So I know my boy Jared does that all the time on the podcast. But if we're gonna pick winners, I'll go with the playoff guy. Let's go with Alex Bowman. Alex Bowman. He's performed here pretty well in the past. I remember specifically last fall though. He was about to take the lead there. I think he came up on Jimmy there, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I think so. It's been so long now. I believe so. Yeah, last fall's Talladega race. So, like, he's ran up front, but, he's had some mental mistakes. But, when he's good, he's really good. So, I like Alex Bowman this weekend.
Well, that's the good news, that we have no idea what is going to happen.
Yeah,
but we
no idea.
I know. And he won the virtual Talladega race, too. So you never know. Maybe a virtual
that's right.
can translate into real life.
That seems like so long ago now.
We
were really broadcasting those iRaces. It's been a crazy year.
It do be like that in 2020. We live in a society. It's nuts. Well, dude, thank you so much for hopping on. I wish that being a Vegas boy yourself, you could have gone out there to see the races this weekend. But hopefully, cross our fingers, everything goes according to plan, and we'll be back there in person next year. But until then, thank you so much for joining me today, and tell the people where they can follow you and all your work.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Appreciate you having me on, Davey. So follow me on YouTube at Black Flags Matter. Approaching 32,000 subs. Really appreciate the support, as well as on Instagram, Twitter, and also TikTok, if that'll still be a thing too. I don't know. I'm on there sometimes, not as much as like, I don't know, some of my other friends and stuff. But TikTok, it's okay. So make sure to follow me on that as well. And yeah, that's about it.